The first step in fighting feminist rape hysteria is, of course, to define it. When we define something, we can point at it when it occurs and use a descriptive term to identify it. And so I propose the term rape conflation to describe the various methods which feminists use to stifle any sort of criticism or open exchange of ideas in regards to how they approach the issue of domestic violence and rape. Now, an increasingly common talking point I've heard from feminists in regards to male funding for domestic violence essentially states that seeking to devote equal government resources to men's domestic violence shelters would be tantamount to an advocacy of domestic violence against women, or at the very least the aiding and abetting of it. This is rape conflation. What feminists seek to do here is simple. They want to throw the possibility of violence against women out there in hopes of hiding the fact that it was feminists that first began turning male victims away from domestic violence shelters. They've systematically apportioned domestic violence funding to benefit one gender more than the other, and they maintain it by conflating any attempt to equalize the inequality they manufactured with an advocacy of rape or violence against women. Now let me clarify that, because some people just might not get what a despicable act of subterfuge is at play here. Feminists use the fact that the vast majority of people, including men, have a deep disgust for the mere thought of rape and everything that it entails. Feminists know this and actively seek to exploit it for the purposes of obtaining societal benefits while depriving men of those same benefits, while also expecting men in the form of the majority of taxpayers and policemen to provide and sustain these benefits. It's never been about stopping rape. It's always been about cooking up increasingly unlikely hypothetical situations where the actions of men working towards the interests of their own gender could somehow possibly result in some woman somewhere not having the domestic violence funds or rape protections that men haven't been getting for the past 50 years. Now, if feminists have set it up so that women get more of their fair share of government funding for domestic violence, then rectifying this inequality will by definition mean that some women will go without these benefits. You can now cue the feminist pointing her finger screaming about rape advocacy. Except that that same feminist wasn't complaining at all or saying anything when the excess provision for women made it so that men would have to go without these same exact benefits. Once again, rape conflation. If you say that men should have protections against false rape accusations, nope, that's an advocacy of rape. If you say that men shouldn't be typecast as the only gender that commits domestic violence, nope, that's an advocacy of wife beating. And it's nothing that a bit of rape or domestic violence conflation won't fix. Just bully him into submission by playing on his aversion towards being looked at as a supporter of violence against women. They, meaning men, have no defense against it, debate stifled, enemy dispatched, business as usual. This is the standard operating procedure for feminists and is precisely why they want to expand the definition of rape as broadly as possible so they can conflate an ever-increasing range of human and specifically male behavior as being violence against women. The recent characterization by the SPLC of men's groups as being hate groups represents a large-scale, state-sponsored act of rape conflation at the precise time when men's issues are starting to actually slip into the consciousness of the mainstream. They wish to neutralize this before it becomes problematic, and so they apply the label from which rape conflation derives, in the form of hate speech. Now, these people understand that, at least as of now, they can't openly criminalize the right to free speech, and so the term hate speech functions as a pressure applier that seeks to contain what they can't yet control. It's tyranny in the form of victimhood class warfare against men. Logic would dictate, of course, that anybody, male or female, can be a victim of domestic violence. But if rape conflation is to function properly, it is only women that can be classified as such. And so as long as women are protected by the disguise of inherent victimhood, they can essentially take part in some of the most malicious, immoral, and evil behavior with impunity. Women as a collective commit violence by first cementing themselves as the only victims of it, and then and only then will they go about viciously attacking everyone else that could normally suppress their attacks with ease. They display as a collective the worst kind of human cowardice, the kind that's hard to detect, easy to overlook when it's detected, and incredibly potent and destructive for the same reasons I've just given. You see, it's really quite simple as far as women are concerned. You can either join us in exposing this, or you can resist it, but either way it's coming out. I mean, you've seen that shaming us and branding us all as being virgins didn't work, and now you're resorting to classifying what we say as hate speech, and that won't work either. Decide what you want. Help us, don't help us, but you're not going to silence us. That's all I gotta say for now.